Good morning. Although it's not morning. It's like, I don't know, 4:30 or something. And I'm in Alabama. Yeah, it was a really nice drive today. I think because it's Sunday, a lot of times people are, sleeping in and, just going short distances. And feeling better, still got a little congestion. And thanks, Linda. I'm sure other people told me to take this too, but this Alka-Seltzer Plus cold and flu really works. Right after I take it, I'm gonna take some right after this, and it just like dries you up. And the one thing is though, I'm just really tired still. I'm gonna take a test tomorrow. I don't think I'm contagious anymore, but I'm gonna take a test just to make sure. And yeah, this is what I was taking. So it's better to spend a little more money on the real stuff instead of just the generic stuff. This stuff didn't really help much. But let's see, trying to think of what else I can catch you up on. Just driving. And so that's why I didn't really videotape anything, because yeah, just driving on the road. And then when I would get there, I would pretty much just settle in and lay down back there and work on some stuff. And I want to say thank you so much for the kind comments from the last video when I was sharing. So many of you reached out to me or left really kind comments. And I just want to share, it's nothing I'm embarrassed of. It's hard to embarrass me. I think especially after I went through infertility treatments. There was a time where I had to have this test where they shot dye in my uterus. I don't know if I told you this before, but I'm in the operating room, whatever it is, and the doctor's like, hey, we have a class, could they come in? I'm like, sure, everybody come in. And so I had 12 people standing around me and seeing my uterus and everything else. And then one time, I don't know why I share so much, but like I said, hard to embarrass me now. So I was in esthetician school. If you don't know, I'm a licensed esthetician. And we were practicing, what do you call it? Taking the hair off with the waxing. And we were practicing waxing there, and nobody would volunteer for it. So I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. I'd never been before, and I kept my underwear on, and it was all girls, and I knew all of them. And oh my God, the girl that did it, she was supposed to be the teacher. She ripped my skin off, and she had it half done. And I'm like, nope, sorry, you can't do the other half. Oh, so yeah, whatever. But I do want to talk about, talking about a nice drive today, the scariest part for van life, and I'll speak for myself, is the driving, and specifically the semis. And I know I have truck drivers who follow me, Chris, Linda's a truck driver, and and I think it's different in a van, because I know when I was in my Hyundai, so I had a 2012 Hyundai Elantra, and low to the ground, but I gave it to my daughter recently. I signed it over to her because her car broke down and she needed a car, and my car was gonna sit for the winter, and her dad doesn't help, so I gave her my car and signed it over to her. But what I do know, so when I would drive my car when I'm back, when I'm driving, I can go 80 miles an hour and not even think about it, not even know I'm going 80 miles an hour. But the van's a different story. The van is 10,000 pounds. The van has multiple things underneath it. I have propane, I have a black tank, I have a gray tank, I have a fresh tank. I, have a lot of stuff going on under there. And listen, I'm not trying to get anywhere in a hurry, and I feel best and safest going like 60 miles an hour. That seems to be like pretty much is what I've gone cross country. But you know, sometimes you're going through, and when you're driving on the road, when you're doing van life and you're in new states and stuff like that, you've never driven these places before. So a lot of times, like, you're coming over a hill or something and you don't know what's on the other side. And then if I'm going up a hill, this thing is like a tank and, you know, it goes slow up a hill, or slower. But honestly, and I want people who are truck drivers to let me know what I or we who are traveling cross country, and especially like in vans or motorhomes or whatever, you know, bigger rigs, how we can help you help us to make it not so scary. Because if it weren't for the semis, and listen, some cars and but mostly semis, it would be such a more pleasurable experience. So just since I left Sedona, I've seen 4 semis rolled over, and then one, it was a crash with a semi and a car, but the car was rolled over, flipped on its hood. And I've talked to a lot of truckers, you know, because I do my laundry there and I take a shower, so a lot of times I'm waiting, and there's a waiting room, places you can sit and stuff when you're in the pilots or the loves, where, you know, the truck drivers usually are. And even the one that just asked me out to eat, I was talking to him, and then there was one I was doing my laundry and we were folding together and talking. There was one, I basically had dinner with him in Salt Lake City because he was sitting at the table facing me and I was at another table but facing him, and we were talking. And in Salt Lake, he was saying that it was stop and go. There was another lady too, because it was snowing there then and it was really windy. And every time I talked to them, they said that most of the accidents are because of speed. And so this is what I know about truck driving, okay, which isn't a lot, it's just what I've, you know, learned from talking to truck drivers, is that, okay, semis have to stay in the right-hand lane unless they're passing, okay? And then, so, you know, they're working, so they're trying to get somewhere quick because, oh, sorry, some guy drove by and was looking at me. They're trying to get there quick because they're working. And so I just came through Mississippi, and Mississippi had, you know, 70 speed limit, and then underneath they had another sign and it said 40 minimum, 70 speed limit. So the speed limit doesn't mean you have to go 70. It just means that you can't go above 70. And I love, like I said, because most places don't have it, like, you know, so what's the minimum? And, you know, 40 is pretty slow, but that's the minimum and that's the law. And so I don't know if that's for all states, but like I said, it was just nice Mississippi had that, because it's like, oh, look, I'm going 60, you know, and that's my constant. And the thing with semis is, what I learned from the truck driver, I don't know if you remember when he let me sit in his cab, that, because I talked about this with him too, I said, it's the thing that scares the crap out of me, and it's the thing that I am most anxious about traveling. So I'm going 60 and I'm in the right-hand lane the whole time, okay, just tooling along, you know, leisurely. And then a semi comes, and, you know, a lot of times there's like a big group of semis or cars and semis or whatever. And these semis do not want to put on the brakes. So it doesn't matter. There could be a semi right next to me, semi behind him, semi behind me, but he doesn't want to put on his brakes, because I know from what the guy told me is that because I asked, why don't you slow down? And he said, because if they put on the brakes, and, you know, because it's a stick shift, and believe me, I learned on a 3 on the tree, and I've had stick shifts before, and I know that once you stop or slow down, you know, then you have to downshift and upshift, and, you know, and then he said, I think he said it took like 5 miles to get back up to speed. But it's like playing chicken on the freeway. I have closed my eyes before. Well, not closed them, but you know what I mean? Just been like, oh my God, holding onto the steering wheel, because they won't stop, and they'll come up like right to your bumper and then just try and get in the other lane no matter how many cars there are, just so they don't have to stop. And just as I was driving here, so there was a bridge, you know, when there's concrete on either side, and you're driving and it's narrower lanes, and he came up so close to me, and I was going 60, and he passed me again so close, and it was the first time, and he must have been looking at me, because when he drove by me, I gave him the finger. I usually don't do that, but it's just so unnecessary, because I'm the one following the law. I'm in the right-hand lane. I'm not doing anything wrong. And then he honked at me like I did something wrong. And so it just is, it's so unnerving. And that's why, specifically, why I tried to find, you know, back roads, or go the places, the roads that aren't so traveled, because I don't want to be around semis, because it's harrowing. And like I said, I'm following the law. I am just in my right lane, you know, tooling along, and it's daily. It doesn't matter, you know, what state I'm in. And even the truck driver said it's because of speed. And it's interesting. I had never seen a billboard before until I was coming into Alabama. Just today I saw it, and it was a big billboard. It was for a lawyer or law firm, and it said, get hit by a big truck or something like that, and there's a semi, and then a car in front of it, like kind of tilted with, you know, a big like crash symbol. I had never seen that before, but obviously it's pretty prevalent, you know, if that's who they're going after. If you don't know, I'm also a paralegal. I've been a paralegal for 35 years at least. And I don't know, and when I see semis behind me, and you know, they're pretty far, so it's safe enough, and I'll pull over to let them pass, because I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. You know, like when I'm on a one-lane road, because they do not want to slow down. And there's not always, you know how you have the lines, and if the lines are solid, you can't pass. If it's on this side, then only that side can pass, and if it's on this side, only this side can pass. And again, so it could be just us on the road, but it's a no passing sign, and they will come up to me as close as they can, you know, until that we hit the passing mark, and then they'll pass me. Or I've had multiple times where there's nobody like within distance of either of us, me and a semi, and the semi's behind me, and they'll wait. Like they could have passed me like a block ago, because they know that they're going to go faster than me, obviously that they are, and they'll wait, nobody around, and they'll wait until they get almost to my bumper to then go around. And listen, last year I was so anxious about it, and you know, you think ahead when you're doing YouTube, because you know the responses people are going to have, like, well, you shouldn't be on the road if you're like that. Listen, I'm following the law. I'm going 60 miles an hour. I am well within my right, and this is what I told the truck driver too, I have a right to be on the road. I pay my taxes. I have a right to be on the road, and I have a right to travel the speed which I feel comfortable at, and not feel like I'm going to get in an accident because a semi doesn't want to put on its brakes. And so I don't know what the answer is, but it's people's lives. That I understand that that's your job, and you need to make money, and, you know, get there quick and get there on time. But there's people who aren't working, who this is their leisure, they're traveling, and you know, I have a thing on the back of my tire and it says adventures over 50. And so people know, like, you know, it's this lady, well, they can't see me, but you know, that it's somebody over 50 and they're in a, you know, a road trek and they're probably traveling. And it says, you know, I'm from Minnesota, so I'm not from the state. And you know, the worst for me, the worst ones, and these were cars though, I was in El Paso, and those two passed me in the dirt. Like there wasn't even a lane. They went on the dirt and passed me. Again, I was going 60 miles an hour. The one, I had to stop at like a checkpoint, and I'm not sure where, it was in Texas, but I'm not sure. And if you guys remember, so it was like a checkpoint, never been to, it wasn't a border crossing, I don't know. There's, you know, people in uniforms, guy with the dog sitting there, and I just had to stop, and you know, he's like, is it just you? And I'm like, yep, just me. And everybody had to stop, so I'm like, oh good, the semis have to stop too, so you know, we can kind of stagger. And so I start driving, get up to 60 miles an hour, and listen too, when it's windy, and it's been really, really windy, I mean, at least the last 2 years that I've been driving, and sometimes when it's that windy, I can only go 55, that I feel safe, because the van is not like a car, like I was saying with the Hyundai, it rides low to the ground, so, you know, you can, you know, move back and forth, and it's just, you're close to the ground. When you're in a van carrying this much underneath, and then it's so tall that it'll get an updrift, and even when semis drive by me, the van goes like this. And I found if I lay off the gas as it's passing me, just for like, you know, a minute, for some reason it doesn't move as much. But so we were driving past that checkpoint, and I'm going like, you know, up to 55 or 60, and then there's a semi right next to me, so we're even, okay? And then this car, I look in my rearview mirror, and this red car is coming, and I see it's going fast, like fast, and it's getting closer, and it is not slowing down. And again, you know how there's like bridges on the side of the road, where this was like, I don't know, 30 feet of cement, and then after that it was dirt. So I'm driving, and like I said, I can see how fast he's going. He's not going to stop. There's nowhere for him to go because the semi's here and I'm here. There's only 2 lanes. And he literally, and I'm not kidding if you remember that, he never laid on the brake, and I had just passed that like cement bridge block, and right before he got to my bumper, I mean, I had already, like, it's funny, I just relaxed because I'm like, I'm waiting for him to hit me. And by the grace of God, he probably was this close to my bumper, and right after that thing, he went onto the dirt and went around. And I don't know if he was running from them or what, but yeah, in Texas. And then I remember I had to pull over, and I was in this sketchy area, and I was just like, you know, frazzled. And so there wasn't an exit for like another 15 miles or so. So I get off on that exit, and I found an RV park on my Google, but I'm like, there's no way I can stay here. It was like a really scary area. But I drove like over this dirt and through this thing, and it was like, oh, like this thing just lit up because it was so nice. I drove in, and I don't know if you remember, that's where the koi pond was, and the horses were there, and it was beautiful. And I went up and I said, give me a 6-pack, and I ended up staying there 2 nights just to like get my bearings again. But I was driving on I-10 then, so this year I specifically have not gone I-10 because I know how busy it is, and I know, you know, it's faster, and a lot of semis, you know, drive there. But there's no way you're going to get around, you know, where semis are driving, other than, well, and even the back roads, they're there, but there aren't as many. So yeah, so for me, driving is the most dangerous part. And if you're a van lifer, could you let me know? And you have to understand, I see other vans too that, you know, are going like 80, whatever, But they're newer ones. Mine's a 2001, and they're ones, they aren't road trucks. They don't have all the stuff underneath them. So I'm sure it's a little different. Their ride is a little different than my ride, or, you know, a bigger rig. And maybe one that isn't so old. Again, it's mine is a 2001. So yeah, so I don't know the answer to that, but if I could figure that out, I mean, I've even gone 2 hours out of my way to my destination just so that I could have a more relaxed drive. So yeah. So let me know if you have any tips or tricks or anything that you can help me or anybody else who's starting out on the road, to know how to, accommodate better. And like I said, I can't imagine, because I'm going 60, I'm in the right lane, I'm just driving, obeying the law, and I know, and it's funny, last year, I would feel bad. I'm like, oh my God, they're going to be so mad because I'm only going 60. And, you know, even though it's within my right and I have every right to be going that speed limit and be on that road myself, just as much as they do. But I put it outside myself. Now, when I see someone sometimes, I'll just kind of brace and I'll be like, okay, bring it. Like when I can see, you know, a bunch of semis coming, and there's nowhere for me to go. You know, I can't get off. There's no exit or anything. That I just have to sit and be like, okay, I just have to trust that I'm just going to keep driving steady, and, you know, that they'll have to work around me somehow, and hopefully we make it out of it. And two, when it's one lane, I used to be so nervous when, like, if there's road work and it would go down to one lane, because listen, I'm going like 50, 55. Again, like, you're in the middle of these cones, you know, you're trying to stay in the middle. And I remember one time I had a semi behind me, and he was honking at me, and I'm like, there's nowhere to go. I'm going 55. It's not like I'm going 30 or 35. I'm going 55, and you're just making things worse. And you'll get there when you get there. Like, the whole point is to get everybody where they're going safe. So again, I don't know. It just feels like I'm playing chicken most of the time, or they are, I should say. Oh, and yesterday, I haven't seen many motorcycles on the road, but yesterday there was somebody on a crotch rocket. This guy, I swear he was going 100, and he blew past me. And there was quite a bit of traffic in front of me. And I just like went like this and was just like waiting to hear a crash and have something, you know, have to pull over or something. It was so unnerving. And every once in a while, there are cars like that too. They think it's like NASCAR. And, you know, they're swerving in and out of people like it's fun or it's a game or something. But, you know, vehicles, like I said, this weighs 10,000 pounds. Semis weigh a ton. You know, cars don't weigh that much compared to bigger rigs. And it's just not worth putting people's lives in jeopardy. I don't know. I think for money. And like I said, when the people are obeying the laws, that the trucker doesn't want to pump the brakes because, you know, they don't want to slow down, because then it would take them, I think he said 10 miles to get back up to speed. So I don't know. For me, like I said, I'm talking for me, but I can't imagine. I'd love to hear from other van lifers. And I'd love to hear from people who drive truck. And I truly appreciate you. I know what a tough job it is. I could never do it. Never in my life. People are like, Tracey, you should drive truck. No. The ice cream would be melted by the time I got there. Not going to happen. I want to drive nice and, you know, at a normal speed and just enjoy the drive. Because when it's nice, it's really nice. Like today, most of the drive was really nice. It's 2 lanes, you know, not hardly anybody on, I think because it's Sunday, and just really a pleasurable trip. So, and like I said, I consciously try to go places, even if it's an hour out of my way sometimes, depending, to, you know, stay out of their way and avoid where I know that a lot of them will be traveling. So if you have an answer, or, you know, can throw something in the hat, or, you know, let me know what I could do to make it better, other than obeying the law and just staying in the right-hand lane, then you let me know, because I will do it in a minute. I'll do it. So, okay, I am going to get everything organized here. Well, I say that, and then the next day it's not. But I'm really looking forward to getting to where I'm going, seeing my friends, making some plans for some adventures, and just being settled for a while. And like I said, it's gonna be the first time that I stay at a campground for like an extended period of time. I was here for 4 days. I was only gonna stay 2. I stayed 4 last time, and now I'm staying, well, I'll try the first month, and then I'll see how it goes. But I have to travel for work in February. Oh, that's another thing. I got a traveling job. So I'm traveling in February for a week. So they fly me there, and I work. It's for events. And I just, because I've done this before, and it's what I want to do, get paid to travel and work. And I just applied to one the other day, and then the person that I work for has events and asked me if I want to do them. And there's a bunch in the summer, sometimes 1 a month or 2 a month. And it goes all the way, I think, through like next October. So I'm excited. And then Jessie's coming home. She graduates this year. And so she's going to come back and live in Minnesota. So I'll get to see her. And since I'll be making money doing that, and then plus I'll probably go back to Walgreens, just because it's so flexible. And then I can do more trips, like closer, in the closer states, in the closer area of Minnesota. And I can find some really fun, weird, exciting adventures. Okay, sorry, I didn't think that it was gonna be this long, and I'm ready to go lay down. I'm just so tired now that when I'm done driving, I just wanna lay down. So I'm sorry if I haven't responded to you guys. I'm trying to like respond to comments and stuff as much as I can when I go lay down for a bit. But I know people have reached out to me, so just know I read everything, and thank you for sharing your stories with me and just being so kind. And yeah, so I don't know if I'll have one Wednesday. I plan on getting there on Tuesday, so I'm not sure what's going to happen this week, so we'll see. It's all a guessing game for me too. Okay, you know what to do. Go out and make an adventure, no matter how big or how small. You have to sell everything and move into a van. I did that. You can. It's really nice, except for sometimes driving's a little harrowing. But, and go call someone you love. And as Joy says, tell them that you love them. And don't you dare forget your magic. Okay, I'll see you in the next one.